This podcast is not affiliated with any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous antics and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and should be dismissed immediately.
Oh, thank God. Oh, no.
And we're on. Welcome to a special episode of Studio 357 Masonic Podcast. We have with us tonight Matt and Andrew from Time for Fellowship, one of my favorite podcasts. I have two favorites, and it's The Third Degree and Time for Fellowship. And sadly, ours is not one of my favorites. We'll get there someday. As always, we'll start out with our show sponsors. We have Homeward Handyman Services, BricksMasons.com, the Insurance Center, the Corporal Dagan Page Foundation, and, of course, our Patreon supporters. So we'll start, and you guys can take turns. Whoever goes first, it doesn't matter. But tell us where you're from, what lodge you're in, and something interesting about you.
Andrew, you can go first.
All right, I can start. I'm Andrew Martins. I'm a member of Lake Lodge down here in Milwaukee. I guess I don't know where you get up here, down here, whatever. In Milwaukee, Wisconsin. One interesting thing about me is I play hurling, which is one of the oldest sports in the world. It's an Irish game, and I've been playing it for about 3 or 4 years, and we have our championship coming up tomorrow.
Nice.
Oh,
all right.
Well, good luck.
Andrew, real quick, just to throw it out there for everybody. Are you playing in that championship game?
No, we lost in the playoffs, but I will be there.
Oh, man.
There might be an opportunity to sub, so I might be able to pretend that I'm on one of their teams.
Oh, sorry, I just had to sneak that in there. Matt Conrad, past master of Lake Lodge 189, also in Milwaukee. There is not much interesting about me. I'm an avid lover of Harley Davidson and currently searching for a new one because I just blew up my old one. So,
and he's an excellent meat smoker. That's his other interesting fact.
Yeah, that's fair.
So tell everybody how long you've had your Harley before it died on you.
Well, this one I bought in 2012. It was an 06 Ultra Classic with a bunch of engine work to it. And in that time, I put, an additional 13 years and 57,000. So it was at 72,000 miles. And the rods finally started getting a little loose. I got some piston slap and metal shavings in the oil pump, and I'm not splitting the cases and rebuilding the whole engine. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Good mileage on a bike, though.
Yeah,
that's pretty good mileage.
That is excellent mileage on a bike, especially for 1 to 10. The engine modded a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's really impressive. That's Goldwing mileage right there.
She lived a good life.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like Goldwings are known for going that.
Yeah.
American bikes aren't really known for that, but that's really impressive on a Harley going that far. Damn straight. That is really good.
Good, clean living.
She was well taken care of.
And well loved, it sounds like, too. Rest in peace. What'd you name her?
She never actually officially got a name. Played around with Black Betty, but I never officially solidified that. So
well, that's why she passed away, because you didn't give her a good name. So that's on you, man.
That's exactly why. No other reason whatsoever. Take her to
that's the only reason.
All right, Chuck.
Oh boy. Questions.
They're on the screen.
You can read the one that's on the screen right there.
Number 2.
One that says number 2. Oh, yep, that helps.
Yeah, that
one. What appendant bodies do y'all belong to?
So I am a member of only 2 appendant bodies. So always I'm a Blue Lodge First Mason. That's just always been my kind of vibe. So I just like hanging out in the Blue Lodge, but I branched out a little bit only into chapter and council, randomly enough. I just wanted to hang out in chapter, and then my mentee, I was his mentor, joined the York Rite and was like, hey, you got to do council with me. Like, you just put on my chapter degrees, do council with me. And I went, all right, fine. What's another one I can add to my dues? So I joined council as well. I was active in chapter for about 2-3 years before I had my firstborn son. And then I take a light step back. But yeah, I'm just in the chapter and then council and Blue Lodge.
Perfect. What about you, Matt?
Too many. I am chapter, council, commandery, Scottish Rite, and a shrine. So.
Yeah, Heath and I are Shrine and Scottish Rite.
Mm-hmm.
These guys neither one are master yet, so obviously they're just Blue Lodge.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Yeah, Blue Lodge is the best lodge. That's the way it is.
Blue Lodge first and foremost always. I don't do much with any of the appendant bodies other than pay my dues. I've helped out with things here or there, but very lightly. So
yeah, I always just think that anything that you can do in masonry can happen in Blue Lodge. And if you're putting your effort into making like a vibrant Blue Lodge, I'm not craving much else is what I'm kind of saying, but I do enjoy the appendant bodies as well for what they are. And I think some people find a great place in them, but I just like hanging out with my boys in the Blue Lodge.
Nice.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So what brought you guys to masonry?
So for me, it's kind of one of those windy roads. I have no family connection, anything like that. I remember in college, I was watching National Treasure as one does, yearly, something like that. At the end, there's that moment at the end where the guy's like, I was also a Mason and I was like the detective and I was like one of the good guys. And I was like, what are the Masons even about though? And my buddy, one of my roommates, his dad was a Mason still is a Mason too, down in Racine. He's like, oh, we could join. And I said, how much is it? They're like, I don't know, it's like $110 a year. And then college, I was like, nah, too steep for me, man. And so I just put the book Freemason for Dummies on my Amazon, like in one of my wish lists. And years later, when I'm out of college, I'm living in my own place, like I'm a little more established. I just got a notification on my phone, like that book you want is on sale. And I was like, oh, I did want to read that book. And so I read like the first couple of chapters where Chris Hodap, he warns you like, hey, don't read this stuff. Like if you're interested, here's all you have to go. And I only got like 2 chapters in and he's like, hey, if you're that interested at this point, you should probably just reach out to a lodge. And I went, yeah, he's right. And that's what I did. And next thing you know, I've been a Mason for, how long's it been, Matt? 5 years, 6 years?
Today is actually my 7th year as a Master Mason. So yeah, you're at 6, I think.
5 or 6, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
All right.
Unfortunately, Andrew showed up and burdened us for the last 6 years. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you guys could have blackballed me. You had the chance. You chose not to. Now you have to, sleep in the bed you made for yourself, and that's on you.
What about you, Matt? What brought you in?
So I had always kind of been curious about it, and then I was working at a Harley Davidson dealership, and there was a teenage kid about 18 working there, and he kept talking about this thing called demole and would not stop talking about demole. And finally I asked him what the heck it was. He told me it was a youth group associated with Masonry, and then I was like, so like, is your dad a Mason? And yeah, that's all she wrote after that. I met his dad and checked out the lodge, and here I am 7 years later. So
it's awesome.
Nice.
Okay.
What would you guys change about the fraternity if you could change anything?
We just jump right in with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I think
Tense.
the thing is, I have I think this can be a spicy question depending on the guest. I have a fairly positive view of the fraternity overall. Don't get me wrong. The things that I would like to see, I think that we need is a combination of getting back to the basics with also modernizing the way we use technology to augment our tradition. So that doesn't mean changing the way we do our work, but it means you should be able to learn to use a Google Drive to store your lodge documents, right? So like allowing yourself to also adapt to the times and make events that cater to people now. Like if you're doing a polka dance night, I would go to it. Don't get me wrong. In Wisconsin, we love a good polka. Don't get me wrong. But like cater to, the generation who are now the Masons in the room. But at the same time, I like the idea of getting back to a little bit more, I'd say, orthodoxy in Masonry. Like memorization has to be on point. Ritual has to be at the top of its game. Sometimes in certain jurisdictions, and mine included, some of the posting work and some of the stuff like that, they've started to slowly make it less difficult, which I'm like, no, I think it should be challenging. And so I want to see a lot of the traditions kind of reestablish, the festive boards, those types of things that were always within our history, that we have always, I think that always draws people to Masonry, is having that connection. But then also just living in the current time you're in at the same time. We serve as like a great bridge between the history and the past, but then we also live now. And so it's trying to find a good way to synchronize those two things together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very well put.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how to follow that.
Sucks to suck, Matt.
You just had to. I should have went first. Woo.
You should always go first.
That was, man. You just pulled that out of where again?
Well, I had a couple of cocktails before I sat down here, so I feel like I'm really just riding a stream of consciousness that's kind of just flowing through.
Did I? Oh my God. I would say the biggest change I would like to see right now in the fraternity, and this is very much different between jurisdictions. So it's more jurisdiction specific for us, is I would like to be able to open in any degree to conduct business. Right now, we can only conduct business in the Master Mason degree for our stated meetings. And I think we should be able to open that up and put the power back in the hands of the lodge to be able to choose what degree they need to conduct business on. Obviously, I don't want like EAs to have a vote or anything, but I think they should be able to be more involved.
And that's also, Matt, what I'm kind of talking about with the going back, like traditionally, like worldwide, doing business in the EA was not that unusual. That was a remnant of the anti-Masonic movement that we changed it. And we have to rush our degrees because we don't want these EAs, not to be able to participate. So we have to push to do it faster, which is why you kind of reduce some of your challenge, try to make it a little easier so you can get them into full membership so they can actually sit in meetings and, have a good experience. Mm-hmm. I think to your point, Matt, having that opened up is a way to assist in making it easier to bring these brothers, because an entered apprentice is a brother, into the room. And then you can actually spend a little more time trying to actually mentor them without just trying to get to the end goal of being like, once you're a Master Mason, like it'll be fine. Like you can actually spend some time really building a quality brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we actually have that in Nebraska. So when these guys come to lodge, we open in the lowest degree that we need to accommodate all our brethren.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been fighting for that up here in Wisconsin. We're working on it. It's a battle of inches. People are set in their ways, which I get. I'd like to see that as well.
I'm just going to say, for once, Nebraska is progressive.
We are actually fairly progressive.
All right, let's go with, tell us why you decided to start a Masonic podcast.
Is it because we're narcissists? I don't know. So
we probably a little bit.
We thought that people had that we had so much to say that we had to force other people to listen to it. I think the reality in it is, me and Matt used to have a lot of great conversations when we would be at Fellowship, and as one does after a couple of pints, you go, it'd be really cool. We should have a podcast.
We had a podcast. Yeah.
You do. Yeah, ours started in a similar fashion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was alcohol involved.
As all good podcasts. But I mean, the key is that we noticed that, like, in our jurisdiction, we have another podcast called the Further Light Podcast. It's purely educational. It's from the Education Committee. They do a great job. I enjoy masonry that's in books. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but we felt that there was also a living masonry that is here and now. You don't have to go and flip through the page of a book to find it. It's already here.
Mm.
And our goal was always to be focused on Wisconsin and Wisconsin Masons and just sharing the stories and experiences and fellowship with the brothers locally and around the state, because there's so many interesting people. I mean, when we were up at God, we've met so many strange and wonderful brothers just within our jurisdiction alone that I've never had an opportunity to talk to had we not had a podcast.
Right.
That's true. Especially doing the quick hitters at like annual communications. You never know who's going to sit down in that chair. It gets really interesting. And, you know, you get people that are coming up to you talking about the podcast and stuff. And it's people you may have never interacted with. It's become interesting for us that one of our biggest fans is actually a member of the OES. It's a female member of the OES who probably talks up our show more than anybody else, and to everybody she can about it. Yeah.
Shout out to Dawn. She also had us come to OES to do it wasn't a podcast, but like a live panel where they wanted us to come, and so we came and visited them, and they just would ask us questions, kind of like you guys are doing right now. Just the OES chapter just had us come in and they did that to us.
That would be cool.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. So it doesn't seem like it, but do you guys have a problem getting people to sit down for the quick hitters?
I mean, not really. I mean, I kind of just harass people. So like if they make eye contact, you know, like if you're like going down the street and you see a homeless person, and your biggest mistake is if you make eye contact, you're sucked in. Like you're gonna be giving that guy $1. Same tactic applies.
No, you looked at me.
Yeah.
They look and they go, sit down, hot mic, come on, sit down. Then you just drag them in.
With the Girl Scout cookies too.
Yep, exactly.
Sir, can you hold this microphone? Oh, coming for some questions.
Right.
Be a great car salesman.
Yeah, right.
How did you come up with the name for your podcast?
Do you remember this phone call, Matt? Do you remember this 3 a.m. text message?
I remember the message. So
Start to a
annual
story.
communication.
we're at annual communication, and I get a message from him after we were done in the hospitality rooms, and it was like, we should call our podcast, what was it, Fellowship Time or something like that. It was
something. Yeah, it was like, it's fellowship time.
Right. And I was like, I just messaged him back, and I was like, it's close, but it needs work. And then rolled over and went to bed. And
The funny thing is, before I sent that text, I was like almost falling asleep, and it was just like my brain was monologuing. I like roll over, climb over to like the hotel nightstand, grab my phone. I'm like, I got this idea that needs to be saved on someone's phone before I forget in the morning.
I need to say this now, or it's not happening.
Right. Well, I think it was probably born out of the fact that when we had talked about potentially starting a podcast, it was based off the fact that we had good conversations when we were at Fellowship. So, and we wanted to bring that nature to the podcast. So I think somewhere in Andrew's crazy subconscious, it kind of like came through, and then we just needed to refine it.
And the biggest problem is once you name it, once it has a name, it's really hard not to start, because it's like it's like a new kid. You named it and you're like, well, I guess we got to get the microphones ordered this week.
Yeah.
So we say on our show all the time that Fellowship is where masonry really happens.
Yeah. I'd say so.
But what I particularly like about your show is it concentrates on the fellowship and the casual aspect of masonry. But you guys do like when you're breaking down the poems and you're going line by line and you're breaking the shit down, it blows my mind how much you pick it apart, and then but it makes it so much easier to understand. So I think you guys are a lot more educational than you think you are, but you do it in a casual way, which is really cool.
Well, and the idea for me too, we always said, well, me and Matt, when we don't have guests, we're going to run out of stuff to talk about, right? So we got to figure out something. And I'm more of on the educator side to begin with. Like I'm the nerd in the room. Matt acts like he's not the nerd, but he secretly kind of is. And the thing is I wanted to show people that you can actually have educational fellowship with brothers. Like if you sit down and you guys are having like just a casual chat, you can very laymanly just be like, let's just pick this thing apart together, and you can have a good time doing it. And you could have a couple drinks, you can take a poem apart, and you can actually like end up not only having fun but also like learning something along the way. And so like it's just showing that education doesn't have to be a lecture. It doesn't. And I like a lecture. I love me a good lecture, but you can also take that to when you are at a fellowship, when you're at dinner and stuff, you could be like, dude, I've been reading this thing lately, and get other brothers to give you their take and to unpack it together. Because sometimes in the dialogue, that's where you really start to kind of really have a deeper understanding as well.
Nice.
Well,
I like
it's also fun for us because, and Jim and I have had this conversation multiple times. Andrew's the more cerebral of us two, and I'm the more like bring it back into like practicality, and like I'm the more blue collar between the two of us too. So I tend to think of things in those terms and stuff like that. So like we bring an interesting dynamic that allows us to cover both sides of the topic.
Yeah, having different dynamics and personalities on the show is, for me, it's a must.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Jim is not here with us tonight because he's out participating in our state fair with the Nebraska CHIP program, the child identification program that's run by the Masons here. But he's definitely smarter than I am.
Yeah.
He is very knowledgeable.
He's so
very
knowledgeable.
Yeah, for a newer Mason, he's really jumped in with both feet. And
Yeah.
I've been a Mason 9 years, and honestly, I started this show just so we could learn more,
Mm-hmm.
and it's working. So
Mhm.
that's good.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, no, and I
he's
agree that like it gives you an opportunity, like an excuse. Like you have to have something to do. So you have to kind of be, when you're podcasters, as things you guys well know, you have to kind of be thinking about masonry a lot, because if you start slipping, you're not going to have anything to talk about. So
Yeah,
it
right.
forced me to learn. And I mean, I was always picking up the book, but like my ADHD causes me to switch topics a lot. But I have to keep masonry always as a part of it, because I need something to talk about. So like, and knowing that we were going to talk about the Rageous poem the other day, I had to go and read the entire thing. Then we'd unpack it and do all that. And then midway through the episode, I had to go, oh my God, this is way harder than I thought. Like I should have done my homework more. And I was like, this ye old English is really breaking my brain. But, it keeps you, so you're always actively participating in learning about masonry, because, you have to have something to provide to your listeners so that they can learn too and enjoy, the time they spend with you with their headphones in their ears.
Well, and we should let our fans know that you guys put a show out every week, which is super ambitious, but it never gets dull. Like I'm the guy that's listening at work with my headphones on, because I work kind of a solitary job. But yeah, every week I'm on there. Spotify lets me know that there's a new Time for Fellowship, and I'm on there right away. But it's a very good show, and I appreciate it.
We
Do I
appreciate
have
that.
regrets
Thank you.
about doing it weekly? Sure. But
Yes, very much so.
because that's like the that's the sand, the hourglass is always ticking. You finish an episode and you're like, there's another one coming out next week, and you're like, oh my God, we got to keep it doing.
So, what would you say your guys' main focus or direction of your show is?
You're gonna go, Matt. You have to start this one, or else I'm just gonna talk the whole way through.
But, I like letting you talk, if you haven't noticed. No, I would say we have a couple different directions, and one of them is, and their focuses. One of them is to record the stories of some of the Masons who may have unique and fascinating stories, and have those there forever. That maybe they were a sideliner their entire career. Maybe they never sat in the East. Maybe they never got noticed for a leadership role or something, but they have valuable and interesting things to say and good stories and stuff like that. And to be able to pass that knowledge that some of these guys have onto future generations of Masons, hopefully.
And yeah, and on top of that, like not only capturing those stories, when we were first, I remember we were at annual communication before I sent the fellowship time text message in the middle of the night. We're like if we're gonna do this, this is what I don't want us to overcomplicate it. It's gonna be me and Matt having fun, chatting with each other, having guests with a spotlight on Wisconsin Freemasonry and all the good stuff we're doing. And so when we first started, we had the calendar at the end of our episodes where we would try to frantically find all the events going on to promote people's events. Since then, we kind of moved away from that, but that was kind of from that same mindset of like, I want to show off what's going on in Wisconsin. We got good advice from a couple of past grandmasters and stuff being like, the calendar only really works if people are listening in real time. It's like, otherwise it kind of dates the episodes, and like, have people been reaching out, asking you to put the stuff on? And we're like, no, we're just finding it all over and putting together a calendar. And they're like, I don't think it's necessarily necessary for what you guys are doing. And I think that was good advice, because honestly, that calendar was driving me nuts. But outside of that, like, it was always about not only enjoying fellowship with me and Matt together, but also sharing it with brothers in Wisconsin and showing off the good works that are happening in Wisconsin Freemasonry.
Excellent.
This is just me as a new entered apprentice Mason myself, but it sounds like you guys are really aiming towards what Masonry is all about, helping good men become better. And, it's what it's all about in the end. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And it falls into the, Matt and I've said it for a couple of years on the podcast, inspired by past grandmaster Dave Ritchie in one of his articles wrote, like iron sharpens iron, one good man sharpens another, and that's done through fellowship. And so I believe that within that fellowship and those relationships you make with good men, it rubs off on you, and you might not even notice it until years later, and you'll be like, wait a second, these bastards rubbed off on me. And you're like, they got to me.
All right, so we're going to hit you guys with some of our own quick hitter questions, which this is getting close to the end of ours because we need to rehash some before annual communications next year. Number 17, and we'll go Matt on this one.
What lodge would you like to most visit?
Anywhere or in my own jurisdiction?
Could be anywhere in the world.
And
this might be weird answer, but I would love to go visit worshipful brother Jim Hall down at East Palestine. I think that'd be a fun time.
That would be fun.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he wouldn't turn you away.
Probably not.
All right, we'll go Andrew on this one.
How could lodges or masonry in general reach untapped audiences?
Oh.
Right person. So I think the key is we need to be visible and relevant. People forget that we even exist. That comes up like very often when someone goes, "You're a Mason." My grandfather's one. I didn't know those were still around. And you're like, yeah, we have 250 members. They're right around the block. The building's right there. Like, oh yeah, I've seen that. I just thought it was like maybe sold, because a lot of the buildings have been sold and they're artifacts. You know what I mean? So we need to not only be visible, meaning you're doing community events, you're seen doing the community. When my dad was growing up in his small hometown in Illinois, there's probably, I think, 1,200 people in that city. Their Masons always had a fish fry. Everyone knew about it. People knew they were there. And I think that we've sequestered ourselves away in our lodges for too long. We need to get out into parades. We need to be in the public's eye so they know that we are here and we actually are making a positive impact on our communities. And that's just step one to get them potentially in the door to even ask, would they like to be a Mason? On the other end, like I was talking about earlier, we need to make sure that the stuff that's waiting for them is valuable. There needs to be good fellowship. You need to have a fun culture that is interesting, that is enjoyable. Because remember, this isn't work. Let's not treat it like work. We do this for fun, right? So and for satisfaction, that's rewarding. So you have to have good fellowship that has a good stuff, fun stuff, modern stuff that younger and older audiences can both get behind and have a good time together. You need to have a strong education program so that people who are interested in in the more philosophical and historical aspects of Masonry can find fulfillment and knowledge. And we need to have a good charity presence where we're giving back to our communities. We need to live up to brotherly love, relief, and truth. And I think if we do that and we're visible, not only are people interested, especially now, not only are they interested, then they can actually find something once they do knock on the door of Masonry that keeps them around.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go back to Matt for one more.
What does brotherhood mean to you?
Oh, that's an open-ended question. So brotherhood is very interesting to me, right? Because you aren't always going to like all of your brothers, right? But guess what? You still got to love them. So I think brotherhood, especially when you're speaking about it in Masonic terms, boils down to learning how to interact with each other civilly, get past your differences, be willing to lend a hand to somebody even if you don't necessarily like get along with them, right? We should never be looking down on a brother unless we're offering him a hand to help him. And I think that is critical to the operations of the fraternity, and that we need to focus on really using that trowel more sometimes, because we easily get away from that when there's conflicts or differences of opinions and stuff like that.
Speaking of that, I really liked the talk you guys had about the trowel on this week's episode.
Thank you. That was a good one.
Got to smear that mortar all over the place.
Last one for Andrew.
Which appended body do you enjoy the most?
Well, I'm only in 2, and for me, I really enjoy chapter because it is a good. So my focus. The only reason I haven't joined Templary, which I have no issue with, is that I never wanted to be a knight. I just wanted to be a Mason, and so I'm focused on just the craft story and the story about craft Masonry, about stone buildy boys, and so the chapter fills that story out in a great way. And the fun thing that I enjoy about chapter, and I haven't done the Scottish Rite, but I've heard enough to know that I think I would enjoy it, but chapter feels like just a different Blue Lodge because it's small. The degrees are very personal. You're not watching, you're in the degree, similar to like a Blue Lodge experience. And the story's fun. And so I was a Valesman. It was in their officer line for a couple of years. And I enjoyed their work and I enjoyed their education. And so I really enjoyed being in chapter. I'm still in chapter, but I'm not as active.
Yeah. All right. So tell everybody where they can find your show. Is it on pretty much every podcast outlet you can think of?
We pretty much everywhere. Buzzsprout is our who we use for hosting, so you can always find it on Buzzsprout's website as well. But yeah, it should be on Spotify, Amazon, Pandora, Apple Music, the whole 9 yards. YouTube as
Wherever
well.
you listen to your podcast, you shall find us. Time for Fellowship, Freemasons podcast. Masonic podcast? What do we name it?
Yeah, Time for Fellowship Masonic podcast was our internet rebranding. It's still Time for Fellowship with Matt and Andrew on like all the cover photos and everything. But we were wondering if people were having a hard time following it because finding it because the word Masonic wasn't in it. If that might get us to a bigger audience that way. So
yeah,
we did a light rebranding. So
well, hopefully it works out good for you, and hopefully the 7 people that watch our show will go start listening to yours. As I do. Like I said, it's interesting, and I like that it's every week because it keeps me interested. And it gives me something to do while I'm working my solitary job. So anyways, if you're watching or listening to this, go jump on your favorite podcast outlet and look for Time for Fellowship with Matt and Andrew, or Time for Fellowship Masonic Podcast. And with that, we will bid you guys adieu and let you go back to whatever you were doing before we interrupted your evening.
No
interruption.
No interruption. We had just kind of wrapped up. I had just wrapped up cutting the grass, and I got that message, and I was like, Well, we were supposed to be doing something today.
We were distracted by a very lengthy from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. trustees activities at Lodge where we put in a new sound system in the entire Lodge building. That means crawling up into rafters, dragging wires through stuff, which I'm unqualified to do that, but here I am dragging wires through stuff. Matt's putting up new tiles in the whole Lodge. So we had a busy, productive Lodge morning. And so we're sorry a little late, but I'm very happy that we were able to join you guys on this wonderful podcast. And I love listening to you guys too.
I enjoy
absolutely.
your show as well.
That was a pleasure to meet
Yeah,
you
it was
all.
a pleasure meeting you all. And, honestly, a pleasure having you all.
Your one-stop Masonic marketplace. You are the hero of this journey. We want to proudly stand behind you every step of the way. We want to enable you to go the extra mile in your Masonic travels. We want you to look your very best on every occasion. Investing in high-quality regalia shouldn't be a burden. We know you want to be better. We know you want to make a difference. We don't think you should compromise. Be your best. Visit bricksmasons.com today. Demonstrate that love never ends through the commitment to support past and present service members, the communities that surround them, and the loved ones of those whom we will never forget. Visit deganpage.org for more information. At Homeward Handyman Services, we pride ourselves on being honest and giving every job the attention it deserves. Owned and operated by a master mason with 2 decades of expertise in home repair. We are bonded and insured, and we carry the highest standards when it comes to taking care of your home. Whether you need a faucet changed or a light remodel, we can take care of your home improvement needs. Call Michael at 402-915-0824 today for a free estimate.
When it comes to something as important as insurance, it's imperative that you work with an agency who has an in-depth knowledge of multiple insurance products, companies, and guidelines, not just one. We are completely independent agents, and we work for your best interests. We are Mason-friendly. We have locations in Fremont and Elkhorn. We provide policies for virtually all of your personal and commercial needs, including health and dental. Visit our website at www.theinsurancecenterinc.com. We're available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.